The massive view screen on the bridge of the Stellar Dominance displayed a small blue planet, spinning quietly in the darkness of space. Commander Trell of the Altarian fleet leaned forward in his command chair, his six-fingered hands pressed together in thought. His pale blue skin reflected the glow of the countless control panels surrounding him. "This is it? This is Earth?" he asked, unable to hide the disappointment in his voice. "Scan the system again." Officer Mara, her antennae twitching with concentration, ran the scan once more. "Confirmed, Commander. We detect primitive orbital stations, some small vessels, and numerous satellites. No defensive systems of note. No shield generators. No fleet." Trell let out a sound somewhere between a laugh and a snort. The Galactic Council was concerned about this. They've barely left their own atmosphere. The bridge crew joined in with soft laughter. The humans, after all, were the newest species, to be detected by the Council's long-range monitors. Their radio signals had been picked up decades ago, and observation posts had documented their slow progress into space. The Council, which governed over 200 advanced species across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy, had finally decided it was time to make contact. "Prepare the diplomatic vessel," Trell ordered, and inform the Council that their fears were greatly exaggerated. Deep within a mountain on Earth, Admiral Wilson stood before a wall of screens displaying the alien vessel that had appeared at the edge of their solar system 3 days ago. His weathered face remained expressionless, but his knuckles turned white as he gripped the edge of the control panel. "They're coming closer," reported Technician Bell, her fingers flying over her keyboard. "Their main ship is staying back, but they've launched a smaller vessel. Trajectory suggests they're heading for Earth." Wilson nodded slowly. "And our sensors?" "They work perfectly, sir. We can see them, but they can't see us." Bell smiled. "Slightly. Good." Wilson turned to a tall, dignified woman standing nearby. "Ambassador Reed, are you ready to meet our new friends?" Ambassador Reed adjusted her formal uniform, her gray hair pulled back in a tight bun. "As ready as I'll ever be for humanity's first alien diplomatic meeting." She paused. "Should we tell them about our defenses?" Wilson's face darkened. "No. Protocol says we watch and wait. Let them show their true intentions first." The Altarian diplomatic shuttle landed in an open field outside the human capital city. A delegation of world leaders and military officials waited as the sleek silver craft opened to reveal the aliens. Trell stepped out first, towering over the humans at nearly 7 feet tall. His team followed, a mix of species from across the Council worlds. "Greetings," Ambassador Reed said, stepping forward with her hand extended in the human gesture of welcome. "On behalf of Earth, we welcome you." Trell ignored the outstretched hand, instead making the formal Council greeting. A slight bow, with arms crossed. "I am Commander Trell of the Altarian fleet, representative of the Galactic Council. We have come to officially acknowledge your species and offer you protection under our authority." Reed's smile remained fixed, but her eyes hardened slightly. "That's very kind, but perhaps we should discuss terms of friendship and exchange before talking about protection." Trell's large, pupilless eyes blinked slowly. "You misunderstand, human. This is not a negotiation. The Council has determined that your species requires guidance. Your technology is primitive, your political systems fractured. We observed your planet for some time before approaching." Wilson stepped forward. "You've been watching us?" "Of course," replied Trell with a dismissive wave of his hand. "Standard procedure for pre-contact species. We are particularly amused by your attempts at space travel. Your vessels are so quaint." A ripple of discomfort passed through the human delegation. "When our main fleet arrived," Trell continued, "we expected at least some defensive capabilities. Instead, we found empty space." He gestured to the sky. "No defense platforms, no battle cruisers, nothing. It's as if you expect the universe to be kind." One of the other aliens, a squat creature with multiple eyes, made a warbling sound that the human's translation devices interpreted as laughter. "The universe is rarely kind, Commander," Wilson said quietly. "But we manage." Trell's expression shifted to one of patronizing pity. The Council offers protection to developing worlds. In return, we ask for resources, labor, and complete integration into our governance system. He handed Reed a small crystal device. These are our terms. You have 3 of your Earth days to accept. And if we decline? Reed asked, her voice steady. Trell's lips pulled back in what might have been a smile, revealing rows of pointed teeth. The Council does not recognize declination as an option. We find it more efficient to demonstrate our technological superiority when necessary. The meeting continued for another hour, with Trell explaining the benefits of Council rule while barely listening to human concerns or questions. Later that evening, Wilson and Reed sat in a secure underground bunker, reviewing the recording of the meeting. The room was filled with military personnel and government officials from around the world. They think we're defenseless, said General Harris, his thick eyebrows drawn together in a frown. Reed placed the crystal device on the table. Their terms amount to complete submission. They want our resources, our labor, and offer nothing but protection in return. Protection from what? Asked the Chinese representative. Themselves? Wilson stood up and walked to a large window overlooking a massive underground hangar. Below, thousands of workers moved around an enormous structure hidden beneath camouflage. Netting. They laughed at the empty space around our planet, Wilson said quietly. Let them laugh. For now. He pressed a button on a console, and the room's lights dimmed as a holographic display appeared above the table. It showed not just Earth, but the entire solar system, along with hundreds of small dots positioned strategically throughout. Activate Protocol Phantom, Wilson commanded. Alert all fleet commanders. First contact has failed the peace test. Around the table, faces grew solemn as screens lit up with confirmation codes. What will they do when they realize where? Reed asked. Wilson's expression was grim but determined. They'll learn what humans have always known. Sometimes the most dangerous things are those you cannot see. In orbit above Earth, the Altarian ship continued its scans, its crew still laughing about the primitive humans and their undefended world, completely unaware of what was about to unfold. 2 days after the failed diplomatic meeting, Commander Trell stood before the holographic images of the Galactic Council. 5 different alien species stared back at him, their faces showing varying degrees of impatience. The humans are being difficult, Trell reported. They requested more time to consider our terms. The head counselor, a tall, thin being with silvery skin, leaned forward. Time is not something we will grant them. The resource scans of their planet show exceptional mineral wealth. We need those resources. What about their defenses? Asked another council member. Trell couldn't help the small laugh that escaped him. Defenses? There are none. Their space is empty. They have a few primitive satellites and a small space station. Nothing that could stand against even our smallest ships. The council members exchanged pleased looks. Then send in the peacekeeping force, ordered the head counselor. Show them what happens to worlds that delay joining the council. Be convincing. Trell bowed his head. It will be done. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Captain Jack Mason sat in the command chair of the underwater base that served as Earth's true military headquarters. Around him, hundreds of officers from nations around the world monitored screens showing the alien fleet. They're mobilizing, reported Lieutenant Rogers, her eyes fixed on her display. 5 warships breaking off from the main fleet. Mason nodded, his face calm despite the tension in the room. They're right on schedule. Admiral Wilson's assessment was correct. He pressed a button on his chair. This is Captain Mason to all Phantom units. The aliens are making their move. Maintain silent running. I repeat, maintain silent running. Across the solar system, hidden among asteroids, behind moons, and in specially created blind spots, the human fleet received his message. Unlike the bulky, obvious ships of the alien fleet, human vessels were sleek, dark, and completely invisible to standard scans. They had been there all along, watching and waiting. On board the Altarian warship Righteous Fist, Lieutenant Vox hunched over his sensor station. As a Nexite, his 4 eyes could process visual data faster than any other species, which made him an excellent sensor officer. Something was bothering him about the readings from Earth's orbit. "Commander," he called out, his voice uncertain. "I'm detecting unusual energy fluctuations." Commander Trell walked over, looking annoyed. "What kind of fluctuations?" I'm not sure," Vox admitted. "They appear and disappear. Almost like ghosts in the system." Trell frowned. "Run a diagnostic on your equipment." "I already did, sir." "Twice." Vox's lower set of eyes blinked rapidly in concern. "The fluctuations are real. They form patterns too consistent to be random space phenomena." Trell stared at the screen showing Earth, peaceful and blue against the blackness of space. "The humans have had no contact with advanced civilizations. Their technology is centuries behind ours. These readings must be natural anomalies." "But, sir..." "Enough," Trell snapped. "The Council has ordered a show of force, and that is what we will deliver. Prepare all weapons. Target their primitive space station first." As Vox reluctantly turned back to his station, one of the smaller scout ships at the edge of their formation suddenly went dark. "Sir," called the communications officer, "we've lost contact with the Swift Seeker." Trell frowned. "Mechanical failure?" "No. Sir, they were transmitting normally, then simply vanished." Before Trell could respond, another alert sounded. "The Night Hunter has also gone silent," reported the communications officer, panic edging into his voice. Trell's eyes narrowed. "Activate all scan systems, full spectrum." Vox worked frantically at his station. "Sir, those energy fluctuations are increasing. They're all around us now." In the cockpit of his small black stealth fighter, pilot Tom Davis watched through his helmet display as the cloaking field around his ship momentarily wavered, then stabilized. The technology was still new, reverse-engineered from pieces of a crashed alien scout ship found decades ago in the Arizona desert. Earth had kept that crash a complete secret, using the recovered technology to prepare for the day aliens would return. That day had finally come. "Ghost Squadron report," Davis said into his communicator. "Ghost 2 target neutralized," came the first response. "Ghost 3, second target disabled. No survivors detected." Davis nodded in satisfaction. The alien scout ships had been eliminated, without raising an alarm. "Good work. Maintain positions and prepare for Phase 2. He tapped a different channel on his communicator. "Captain Mason, this is Ghost Leader. Phase 1 complete. Scout ships have been neutralized. The main fleet still doesn't know we're here." Back on the Righteous Fist, Trell was becoming increasingly agitated. "Where are those scout ships?" he demanded. "Scan the area again." "Sir," Vox said, his voice barely above a whisper. I think we're being watched." "That's ridiculous," Trell scoffed, but a flicker of doubt crossed his face. "By whom? There's nothing out there." "The energy readings suggest otherwise," Vox insisted. "They're forming a pattern around our ships, almost like..." "Like what?" Trell demanded. "Like we're surrounded," Vox finished. Across the bridge, officers exchanged nervous glances. The empty space around Earth suddenly felt less empty and more threatening. "Send a message to the human leaders," Trell ordered, his voice harder than before. "Tell them they have 1 hour to surrender or we will destroy their orbital assets and begin planetary bombardment." In the underwater command center, Captain Mason received the alien ultimatum with a grim smile. "They're nervous," he told his officers. "They know something's wrong, but they don't know what." He opened a channel to Admiral Wilson. "Sir, the aliens have delivered their ultimatum. They're threatening bombardment." Wilson's face appeared on screen, his expression resolute. "Then it's time to show them what they're really dealing with. Activate the dreadnought." Mason nodded and pressed a special red button on his command console. "All units, this is Captain Mason. Protocol Phantom is now entering Phase 2. Prepare the dreadnought for reveal. I repeat, prepare for reveal." In the dark space behind Earth's moon, a massive shadow began to move. For years, the nations of Earth had pooled their resources in secret, building what would be humanity's first true battleship. Hidden by experimental cloaking technology, the dreadnought had remained undetected during its construction and testing. Now it was time for its unveiling. As the dreadnought moved silently toward the alien fleet, Captain Mason sent one final message to all human ships. Remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for. Today, the aliens learned that the empty space they laughed at was never empty at all. Commander Trell paced the bridge of the Righteous Fist, his patience wearing thin. The humans had not responded to his ultimatum, and the strange energy readings continued to appear and disappear around his fleet. 30 seconds until the deadline, announced his second-in-command. Trell nodded sharply. Prepare all weapons. Target their largest space station first. Lieutenant Vox suddenly jolted upright at his sensor station. Commander, massive energy. Spike directly ahead. On screen, Trell ordered. The main view screen changed to show empty space between their fleet and Earth. But something was happening. The stars seemed to warp and bend, as if space itself was being disturbed. What is that? Trell demanded, a hint of fear in his voice for the first time. Before anyone could answer, the empty space before them changed. It was as if a massive hole had been torn in reality itself. Where there had been nothing moments before, now there was something enormous. A ship appeared, seeming to materialize out of nowhere. But this was no ordinary vessel. It was immense, easily 3 times the size of Trell's command ship. The design was unlike anything in the Council. Archives, sleek and predatory with multiple weapon ports visible along its dark hull. At its center was a massive cannon that glowed with blue energy. Impossible, whispered Trell, his blue skin paling to almost white. Their technology is primitive. They can't have stealth systems that advanced. They can't have ships that large. Sir, his communications officer called out, voice shaking. We're being hailed by the human vessel. Captain Alan Stone sat in the command chair of the dreadnought, Earth's first and most powerful battleship. Around him, the bridge crew worked at their stations with practiced efficiency, despite the historical significance of this moment. Humanity's first space battle. Stealth systems disengaged, reported his tactical officer. We are fully visible to their fleet. Stone nodded. Signal the rest of the fleet to hold position but remain cloaked. Let's see how they react to just one ship first. He straightened his uniform and faced the main screen. Open a channel to the alien command ship. The screen flickered to life, showing the bridge of the alien vessel. In the center stood Commander Trell, his expression a mixture of shock and disbelief. This is Captain Alan Stone of the Earth Defense Force battleship Dreadnought, Stone announced, his voice calm and measured. Your deadline has expired, Commander. So has our patience. Trell seemed to struggle for words. This is impossible. Our scans showed no such vessel. Stone allowed himself a small smile. Your scans showed what we wanted them to show. You're not the first aliens to visit Earth, Commander. Just the first to do so openly. 30 years. Earlier, in a secret underground facility beneath the New Mexico desert, Dr. Anna Miller had stood before the wreckage of an alien scout ship. The vessel had crashed during a surveillance mission, its pilot dead on impact. World leaders had agreed to keep the crash secret, fearing public panic. But from this disaster came opportunity. The ship contained technology far beyond human capabilities, stealth systems, advanced propulsion, and weapons that defied current physics understanding. We can reverse engineer this, Dr. Miller had told the assembled military leaders. It will take time, but if they found us once, they'll find us again. We need to be ready. And so Project Phantom was born. The world's greatest scientists and engineers worked in secret, studying the alien technology and adapting it for human use. Major nations set aside their differences, pooling resources and knowledge for humanity's defense. The Dreadnought was the culmination of those 3 decades of work, humanity's shield against the stars. In the present, Commander Trell was still, trying to comprehend what he was seeing. One ship means nothing, he finally said, attempting to regain his composure. You cannot stand against the might of the Galactic Council. We have hundreds of warships. Captain Stone's expression didn't change. Do you? Look again, Commander. Stone nodded to his tactical officer, who pressed a button on her console. All around the alien fleet, space began to shimmer and distort. One by one, human ships deactivated their stealth systems, becoming visible to the stunned aliens. Cruisers, destroyers, fighters, dozens of them, all positioned strategically around the Council fleet. "By the stars," gasped Vox from his sensor station. "They're everywhere." Trell's mandibles clicked in agitation. "A trick. These must be holograms." "If you believe that," Stone replied, "you're welcome to test your theory. But I should warn you, these holograms are armed with gravitic torpedoes and particle beams based on your own technology." In the underwater command center, Captain Mason watched the unfolding scene with satisfaction. On his main screen, he could see the alien fleet now completely surrounded by human ships that had been hiding in plain sight. "Status report from all fleet commanders," he ordered. "All ships report weapons hot and targeting systems locked," responded Lieutenant Rogers. "The aliens are completely surrounded." Mason nodded and opened a channel to the dreadnought. "Captain Stone, this is command. The President has authorized a demonstration of force if necessary." On screen, Stone acknowledged the order. "Understood. Command. I believe our friends could use a small demonstration of what they're facing." Back on the dreadnought, Stone turned to his weapons officer. "Target that empty asteroid at coordinates 227 by 344. Fire a low-power burst from the main cannon." The massive ship hummed as energy built up in its central weapon. A beam of blinding blue light shot forth, crossing the vast distance in an instant. When it struck the asteroid, there was no explosion, no fire. The massive rock simply disintegrated, becoming nothing but dust. On the view screen, Commander Trell's eyes widened in horror. "That was 5% power," Stone informed him, calmly. "The next demonstration will be at 20%, targeting one of your escort vessels. Unless, of course, you'd prefer to discuss more favorable diplomatic terms." Trell's shoulders slumped almost imperceptibly. You planned this." "All of it. For decades," Stone confirmed. "Ever since your people's scout ship crashed on our planet. Did you think we wouldn't study it? Learn from it? Improve upon it?" The bridge of the alien ship went silent as the full weight of the situation settled on them. Their supposedly primitive targets had not only matched their technology but in some ways had surpassed it. "The Council," Trell began. "The Council," Stone interrupted, "will need to reconsider its approach to Earth. We are not seeking war, Commander, but neither will we accept subjugation." He leaned forward in his chair, his gaze intense. "Now shall we begin real negotiations? As equals?" Around Earth, the human fleet remained in position, weapons ready, a silent testament to the ingenuity and determination of a species that had prepared for this day for 30 years. The galaxy would never underestimate humanity again. For several long moments, silence hung in space as Commander Trell considered Captain Stone's offer. The human fleet surrounded the alien armada, weapons trained on their ships. The massive dreadnought loomed before them, its main cannon still glowing from the demonstration of power. "I will need to confer with the Council," Trell finally said, his voice strained. Stone nodded. "You have 30 minutes. As the communication ended, Lieutenant Vox approached Trell on the bridge of the Righteous Fist. "Sir," he said quietly, "I've analyzed their weapons technology. It appears to be based on our own designs, but improved." Trell's eyes narrowed. "Improved how?" "They've found ways to increase efficiency by nearly 40%, Vox explained. "The power readings from their main battleship are unlike anything in our records." Trell clenched his fists. "How could primitives advance so quickly? It should have taken them centuries to develop this technology on their own." "They said they recovered one of our scout ships," Vox reminded him. "Ship 7 Delta went missing in their system 28 Earth years ago." "One damaged scout ship shouldn't have been enough," Trell hissed. At that moment, a new communication came through, not from the humans but from the Galactic Council itself. High Admiral Drek of the Voidian fleet appeared on the main screen, his dark, ridge-covered face looking displeased. "Commander Trell, Drek said coldly. Your report indicates the humans have technological capabilities far beyond your initial assessment. Explain this failure. Trell bowed his head slightly. High Admiral, they concealed their true capabilities. They have stealth technology that evaded our scans and weapons based on our own designs. Unacceptable, Drek responded. The Council will not negotiate with deceptive primitives who steal technology. Your new orders are simple. Destroy their main vessel. The Council fleet will arrive in 6 hours to finish what you start. But High Admiral, Trell protested, their weapons are copied from our technology, Drek interrupted. Copies are never as good as originals. You have superior numbers and experience. Use them. Before Trell could respond further, the communication ended. On the bridge of the Dreadnought, Engineer Joe Parker was explaining the ship's capabilities to Captain Stone. Their technology gave us a starting point, Parker said, gesturing to the holographic display of the ship's systems. But we didn't just copy it, we improved it. Stone raised an eyebrow. How so? For starters, their power systems are inefficient, Parker continued. They use a standard antimatter reactor with conventional containment fields. We developed gravitational containment instead, which gives us nearly double the output. And our stealth systems? Parker smiled. That was our best work. Their technology bends light around the ship. Ours bends space itself, that's why their sensors couldn't detect us. We were literally in a different fold of space-time until we chose to emerge. Stone nodded appreciatively. Good work. All those years of secret development paid off. Sir? His communications officer interrupted. The alien commander is hailing us again. Stone straightened in his chair. Put him through. Trell's face appeared on screen. But something had changed. The uncertainty was gone, replaced by a cold determination. Captain Stone, Trell said formally, the Galactic Council has considered your position and finds it unacceptable. Your species has obtained technology through theft and deception. You will surrender your vessels immediately or face destruction. Stone's expression hardened. Commander, we both know that's not going to happen. We offered negotiations in good faith. Reconsider your position. The Council has spoken, Trell replied. You have 1 minute to power down your weapons. As the communication ended, Stone turned to his tactical officer. Battle stations. Alert all ships. The alien fleet moved first. 3 cruisers broke formation, accelerating toward the Dreadnought with weapons charging. They're targeting our main cannon, reported the tactical officer. Stone nodded calmly. Evasive pattern Delta. Bring point defense systems online. Do not fire main weapons yet. The massive human battleship moved with surprising grace for its size, sliding out of the direct path of the alien cruisers. Smaller human vessels moved to intercept, their own weapons fully charged. Sir, called out the sensor officer. They're launching fighter squadrons. Hundreds of small alien craft poured from the larger ships headed toward the human fleet in attack formation. Stone pressed a button on his chair. All Ghost Squadron pilots, you are cleared to engage. Show them what human pilots can do. Pilot Tom Davis and his Ghost Squadron decloaked directly in the path of the oncoming alien fighters. His black stealth fighter, smaller and more agile than the alien craft, rolled smoothly to avoid enemy fire. Ghost Squadron, execute attack pattern Omega, Davis ordered. Remember your training. The human fighters moved in perfect coordination, using maneuvers that confused the alien pilots. Unlike the aliens, who relied heavily on automated targeting systems, human pilots had been trained to fly both with and without computer assistance. This hybrid approach gave them an advantage that quickly became apparent. Within minutes, dozens of alien fighters had been disabled or destroyed, while the human squadron had suffered minimal losses. Back on the Righteous Fist, Trell watched in growing alarm as his fighters failed to gain the upper hand. Their pilots are flying in patterns our targeting systems can't predict, reported his flight controller. Then target their capital ships, Trell ordered. All cruisers, focus fire on the human battleship. 5 alien cruisers moved into position, their combined firepower directed at the Dreadnought. Energy beams lanced across space, striking the human vessel's shields. Direct hit, exclaimed Vox. Their shields are holding... Wait, that's impossible. Our readings show their shield strength actually increasing. Trell stared in disbelief. How can shields get stronger when hit? Unknown, sir, Vox replied. It's like they're absorbing and recycling our energy somehow. On the Dreadnought, Engineer Parker watched his console with satisfaction. The adaptive shield technology is working perfectly, he reported to Stone. We're capturing nearly 60% of their weapons' energy and feeding it back into our systems. Stone nodded. Good. Time to show them our main offensive capability. Target their lead cruiser with the gravity lance. 20% power. The massive cannon at the center of the Dreadnought began to glow more intensely, gathering energy from the ship's core. Gravity lance charged and ready, reported the weapons officer. Fire, ordered Stone. The beam that shot forth wasn't like ordinary weapons fire. Instead of light or plasma, it was a concentrated beam of gravitational force, a weapon the aliens had never encountered before. When it struck the lead cruiser, the ship didn't explode. Instead, it began to compress, the hull buckling inward as if being crushed by an invisible hand. Within seconds, the once mighty cruiser had been compressed to half its original size, its systems failing as the internal structure collapsed. Across all communication channels, stunned silence fell as both fleets witnessed the devastating new weapon. Open a channel to Commander Trell, Stone ordered. I think he's ready to reconsider our offer. The battle had lasted less than 15 minutes, but the message was clear. Humanity was not to be underestimated again. The main conference room aboard the Dreadnought was silent, as both human and alien representatives stared at each other across the large oval table. 3 days had passed since the battle. The remaining alien ships had surrendered after witnessing the power of the gravity lance. Now, representatives from the Galactic Council had arrived to negotiate with the humans. Admiral Wilson sat at the head of the table, his weathered face showing no emotion. Beside him, Ambassador Reed arranged her notes carefully. On the alien side, High Admiral Drek of the Voidians led a delegation of 5 different species. Commander Trell sat at the far end, his once proud posture now subdued. Let us begin, Admiral Wilson said, his voice carrying easily through the room. As I understand it, your council has authorized you to negotiate new terms. Drek's ridge-covered face tightened. The council recognizes that previous assessments of human capabilities were incorrect. You mean you thought we were primitive and defenseless, Reed remarked. A simple mistake. Drek's eyes narrowed slightly. We have questions. How did humans advance so quickly? Our records show your species only achieved basic spaceflight 60 years ago. Wilson smiled slightly. We've always been good at learning. When your scout ship crashed on our planet 30 years ago, we studied it carefully. But we didn't just copy your technology. We improved it. Impossible, said one of the other aliens, a reptilian creature with iridescent scales. No primitive species could improve upon Council technology. Engineer Parker, who had been silent until now, cleared his throat. Actually, your approach to antimatter containment is quite inefficient. Your technology tries to hold antimatter away from normal matter using electromagnetic fields. We developed gravitational containment instead. He activated a holographic display on the table, showing the schematics for the human power system. This gives us nearly double the energy output from the same amount of fuel, Parker explained. And it's just one of hundreds of improvements we made. The aliens stared at the display, their expressions a mixture of shock and disbelief. Your secrecy was impressive, Drek admitted finally. Our observers never detected these developments. That was the point, Wilson said. We knew someone was watching. After we found the crashed ship, we understood we weren't alone in the universe, and history has taught us that when technologically advanced civilizations meet less advanced ones, it rarely ends well for the latter. Reed nodded. So we put on a show. We continued our visible space program exactly as a developing species would. Meanwhile, we built our real fleet in secret. A deception spanning decades, Trell muttered. Unprecedented. Self-preservation, Wilson corrected. And it was the right choice given how quickly you moved to subjugate us when you thought we were defenseless. High Admiral Drek shifted uncomfortably in his seat. The Council wishes to propose a new relationship with Earth. We offer full membership in the Galactic Council, with all rights and privileges. As equals? Reed asked pointedly. Yes, Drek confirmed. As equals. Wilson exchanged glances with Reed before responding. We're prepared to join your council, but we have conditions. He slid a data tablet across the table. First, Earth and the entire Sol system remain under exclusive human control. Second, all technology sharing will be reciprocal. You get our advancements, we get yours. Third, any species currently classified as protectorates by your council will be given the opportunity to apply for full membership. Drek's eyes widened at the last point. That would fundamentally change the council's structure. Many protectorate species are nowhere near advanced enough for full membership. Perhaps they just haven't had the opportunity to show their true potential, Reed suggested. We believe intelligence and adaptability are more valuable than technological advancement alone. Drek and the other council representatives huddled together, speaking in hushed tones. Finally, Drek turned back to the humans. The council will need time to consider these terms, but I am authorized to establish an immediate ceasefire and recognition of human sovereignty. Wilson nodded. Acceptable. We'll expect the council's full response within 1 Earth month. As the meeting adjourned, Commander Trell approached Captain Stone, who had been observing silently from the side of the room. Your ship, Trell said quietly. The Dreadnought. How many more like it do you have? Stone smiled slightly. That would be classified information, Commander. Of course, Trell said, mandibles clicking nervously. But I must ask, was your fleet there the whole time? Even during our initial scans of your system? From the moment your first scout ships entered our solar system 60 years ago, Stone confirmed. We've been watching and waiting. The empty space you laughed at was never empty. 1 month later, Admiral Wilson stood before the United Earth Council, the secret governing body that had overseen Project Phantom for decades. Representatives from every nation on Earth were present to hear the outcome of the negotiations. The Galactic Council has accepted our terms, Wilson announced to thunderous applause. Humanity is now recognized as a full member of the interstellar community, with all rights and privileges. On the large screen behind him, images of the Dreadnought and other human vessels appeared alongside alien ships. More importantly, Wilson continued once the applause died down, our stance on protectorate species has led to a fundamental reform of the council structure. Already 3 previously subjugated species have been granted full membership. Ambassador Reed, seated in the front row, smiled proudly. Earth had not only secured its own position, but had changed the very nature of galactic politics. And what of our military position? Asked the representative from India. Our fleet remains the most advanced in this sector of the galaxy, Wilson replied. The aliens are still trying to understand how we improved their technology so dramatically. Engineer Parker and his team have become something of celebrities among alien scientists. Laughter rippled through the chamber. The truth is, Wilson concluded, humanity succeeded because we took a different approach. While the council races focused on expanding their empire, we focused on innovation. They developed rigid hierarchies and classifications for species. We embraced diversity and adaptation. He gestured to the star map displayed on the screen, now showing Earth's position in the galaxy. Today marks a new chapter not just for humanity, but for all intelligent species. The age of conquest is ending. The age of collaboration has begun. 6 months later, on a distant world at the edge of council space, an alien child looked up at the night sky as a massive ship appeared in orbit, seemingly materializing out of nowhere. What is that? The child asked their parent in awe. That, the parent said with a mixture of respect and wonder, is a human ship. Are they dangerous? The child asked nervously. The parent considered this for a moment. They can be, but they're also fair. Before they arrived, the council treated our world as just another resource to exploit. Now we have a voice. We have rights. As they watched, Smaller craft began descending from the massive ship, bringing human diplomats, scientists, and traders. The old races laughed at them once, the parent continued. They thought the humans were primitive because they couldn't see their defenses. Now no one is laughing anymore. The massive human battleship gleamed in the light of the alien sun, a symbol of how quickly the galaxy had changed, all because the Council had underestimated a species that had hidden its true strength until the moment it mattered most.